75% of us are silently trapped in a crisis no one ever talks about. Do you remember when everyone said you'd do great things? What happened to you? Why are you so lost now? I was always labeled smart, filled with promise and destined for greatness. Teachers praised me, parents beamed with pride, and everyone around me echoed the same words. You're special, you're gifted, you'll do incredible things. But potential quickly transformed into pressure. Each success only heightened expectations. Each achievement felt less like joy and more like obligation. It was as if I'd climbed halfway up a mountain only to realize the summit was always moving higher, forever out of reach. Maybe you felt this too. That quiet, nagging anxiety late at night, the crushing sensation in your chest as you wonder, what if I'm not living up to who everyone expects me to be? You're not alone. Research shows nearly 3/4 of young adults experience a quarter-life crisis. A profound, silent struggle, even among those who outwardly seem successful. This existential regret is particularly intense for gifted people, those who grew up believing their value was tied solely to their achievements. Secretly, they feel hollow, trapped in lives designed to impress others but disconnected from who they truly are. I think often about Barbara Newhall Follett, whose haunting story reminds me just how fragile potential can be. At only 12 years old, she was celebrated as a literary prodigy, a novelist whose genius captured America. Yet, behind the glittering praise lay immense pressure, invisible and suffocating. Life eventually grew harsh. Her father abandoned her, fame faded, and at 25, Barbara walked out into a cold December night and vanished forever, leaving behind only painful, unanswered questions. Or William James Sidis, perhaps history's smartest child, fluent in dozens of languages and attending Harvard at 11. Crushed under expectations, Sidis abandoned society, choosing anonymity and quiet isolation over fame. He died alone, forgotten, broken by the burden of his brilliance. These stories beg a disturbing question. What use is potential if it destroys the very person who carries it? Soren Kierkegaard said, "The most common form of despair is not being who you really are." Perhaps the pain we feel isn't about lacking talent or ambition. Maybe it's rooted in something deeper, living for applause instead of authenticity. Chasing someone else's version of success rather than our own. I vividly recall one night, alone in my room, feeling suffocated by expectations I'd carried my entire life. I finally whispered a truth I'd long feared. Maybe they were wrong about me. Maybe the story of my giftedness, my potential, was never mine. Perhaps feeling lost isn't the tragic end, but the uncomfortable beginning of discovering who you truly are. If you've ever felt this way, wondering how your bright promise faded into uncertainty, stay with me, because the truths I'm about to share transformed everything I thought I knew. Here's the paradox nobody warns you about. Being smart might just become your greatest burden. From an early age, your identity is chained to success. Every gold star, every A grade, every accolade reinforcing the insidious belief, I'm valuable only if I succeed. But success is fleeting, temporary, and never truly satisfying. The moment you stumble even slightly, it feels catastrophic, as though your entire identity shatters beneath you. Have you ever hesitated to apply for your dream job, terrified you'd be exposed as not smart enough? That's imposter syndrome quietly sabotaging your life. It convinces you that every success is merely luck, every achievement a fraud waiting to unravel. Eventually you hold yourself back, shrinking your ambitions, quietly sabotaging your potential. Gifted individuals often suffer from existential depression, deep sadness arising from constantly questioning life's meaning. Bright minds crave purpose and ask difficult questions. Why am I here? What's the point? When no easy answers come, despair quietly creeps in, hidden beneath carefully crafted facades. Behind impressive degrees and perfect resumes lies silent suffering. Anxiety hidden behind polite smiles. Adding to this is what psychologists call the paradox of choice. Research by Barry Schwartz shows clearly too many options don't liberate us, they paralyze us. Endless choices trigger anxiety, leaving us stuck, afraid to make the wrong move. For intelligent, aware people, every option feels like a potential mistake. So we freeze, paralyzed by what if, quietly drifting into lives we never consciously chose, trapped in regret and indecision. I've watched countless friends, smart, talented people, silently surrender to fear, spending years in jobs they loathe or relationships draining their souls. Each night they quietly wonder, is this really all there is? Their accomplishments don't fulfill them, they merely mask the emptiness inside. Perhaps most dangerous is cognitive dissonance, the internal agony when your self-image doesn't match reality. You think, if I'm so smart, why am I unhappy? Why do I feel lost? To ease this conflict, you bury your true dreams beneath layers of rationalization. You tell yourself you're content, even as your heart silently aches for something more meaningful. Nietzsche wisely said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But somewhere along the line, we lost our why, replacing genuine purpose with shallow societal markers, money, titles, recognition. We became actors performing roles scripted by others, quietly imprisoned by expectations we never consciously chose. I once believed something was deeply wrong with me, that I was uniquely broken. Then one sleepless night, tears streaming silently onto my pillow, I realized something vital. Feeling lost isn't proof you're broken, it's proof you're finally waking up. Perhaps this emptiness is your inner voice finally loud enough to be heard, pleading urgently for you to stop living someone else's life. The real question isn't, how do I escape feeling lost, but rather, who am I beneath everyone else's expectations? This uncomfortable question marks the true beginning of freedom, your journey back to yourself. Have you ever been haunted, not by shadows in the dark, but by something far more troubling, the ghost of who you were supposed to become? Late at night, in moments of unbearable silence, this ghost visits me, whispering painful questions that demand answers I don't yet have. Why aren't you living the life everyone said you would? Why do you feel empty despite doing everything you were told? Barbara Newhall. Follett's story haunts me. At only 12, she was America's darling, a literary genius, her first novel praised as a masterpiece. But hidden beneath all the applause was an invisible pressure she never chose. Her brilliance became a heavy coat, comforting at first, but ultimately suffocating. When her father abandoned the family and life's realities crashed down upon her, Barbara simply disappeared. One cold winter night at age 25, she walked away from her home. Carrying just a notebook and a few dollars, she vanished forever, her enormous potential dissolving into silence, leaving nothing but unanswered questions behind. William James Sidis faced a similar fate. Perhaps the most intelligent person ever recorded, fluent in multiple languages, a Harvard student at 11, he embodied society's definition of potential. Yet beneath his outward success lay unbearable expectations. Sidis quietly withdrew from society, choosing obscurity over relentless scrutiny, anonymity over fame. He died in silence at 46, alone and forgotten, a life unraveled beneath the heavy burden of brilliance. These lives linger in my mind, not just as tragedies, but as mirrors reflecting my own fears and regrets. They remind me how fragile our potential truly is, how brilliance alone guarantees neither happiness nor purpose. Their stories reveal the quiet agony of living for external validation, of chasing dreams scripted by others. When we allow our identity to hinge solely on success, we risk losing ourselves completely, becoming mere ghosts, existing yet never truly alive. By now you might be asking again, why am I so lost despite doing everything right? The answer lies within the quiet tragedy of these stories. Follett and Sidis were not lacking in talent or ambition, they lacked something far deeper, a sense of genuine belonging, meaning, and authenticity. Their lives were sacrificed on the altar of external expectations, proof that potential, when stripped of authenticity, becomes a dangerous illusion. The deeper lesson their ghosts whisper is clear. Chasing someone else's dreams inevitably leads to emptiness. When we measure ourselves solely by external praise, we surrender control of our identity, becoming shadows, chasing hollow applause. Perhaps feeling lost isn't a tragedy. The real tragedy is living a life that never truly belonged to us. Maybe this discomfort, this restless sense of being adrift, is actually life's quiet invitation to reclaim our authenticity. Maybe feeling lost is exactly the wake-up call we need, the whisper gently urging us to stop pretending, to finally become who we've always been beneath society's expectations. For years, I deeply resented feeling lost. It felt like proof I'd failed, proof I'd squandered my potential, but I've come to understand something crucial. Maybe feeling lost isn't punishment at all. Maybe it's a powerful gift, a necessary wilderness we must pass through to discover who we truly are. There's an ancient Taoist parable about a carpenter and his apprentice walking through a forest. They come upon a large, twisted tree. The apprentice says, "This tree is worthless, it's too crooked, too knotted to be useful." The carpenter gently replies, "Precisely. Its uselessness is why it survives. If it had been useful, it would have been cut down long ago." That parable shifted my entire perspective. Perhaps our perceived uselessness, our refusal or inability to conform perfectly to societal expectations is precisely what saves us. Maybe feeling lost protects us, preserving our authenticity until we find a purpose that's truly ours. Yet society relentlessly insists usefulness defines worth. Hustle culture whispers endlessly that rest equals weakness and our value depends entirely on productivity, but beneath these promises of success lies quiet despair. Studies show nearly 2/3 of workers today suffer from severe burnout, crushed beneath impossible standards, quietly questioning life's purpose. We climb higher, faster, endlessly striving, only to realize too late that the ladder we're climbing leans against the wrong wall. And like Odysseus's crew seduced by lotus flowers, we've become intoxicated by our own modern distractions. Social media, endless streaming, instant gratification. These are our lotus blossoms, promising comfort but quietly numbing us, trapping us in complacent oblivion. Last month, I tracked my screen time, over 6 hours daily, a quarter of my life quietly stolen by mindless scrolling. Viktor Frankl once warned, when a man can't find a deep sense of meaning, he distracts himself with pleasure. Our distractions aren't harmless escapes, they're subtle thieves quietly stealing the time and clarity we need to confront life's deeper questions. Feeling lost is terrifying, but it awakens something vital within us. Carl Jung said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. The wilderness we fear, the silence, loneliness, uncertainty, might actually be the key to finally seeing ourselves clearly. Away from distractions and societal demands, we can finally listen to the quiet voice that's always been there, gently asking, is this the life you truly want, or just the one you've been taught to chase? I remember vividly one night, sitting alone in darkness, heart pounding, my breath shallow, trapped in silent panic. I whispered to myself, this can't be my life. I've failed everyone. Facing total despair in that moment, I understood something essential. I'd spent my life chasing expectations I never consciously chose, yet never truly listened to myself. Joseph Campbell's words echoed powerfully. We must let go of the life we have planned so as to accept the one that is waiting for us. Feeling lost isn't punishment, it's opportunity. It's life creating space for truths we've long ignored. Perhaps this wilderness, uncomfortable and uncertain, exists precisely because our real path can only emerge when we finally stop pretending, stop performing, stop running from ourselves. Maybe feeling lost isn't a sign you failed, it's proof you're finally brave enough to reclaim your true self. Maybe the wilderness you fear is exactly where your authentic life begins. But what if the reason you're lost isn't because you're flawed? What if the discomfort you feel is not a personal failure, but evidence of a deeper issue, something quietly, invisibly embedded into the very structure of modern life? We live in an age where we're more connected than ever, yet loneliness has become an epidemic. The US Surgeon General recently called loneliness a public health crisis, as dangerous to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes every single day. Despite constant digital connectivity, we have fewer real friendships, fewer meaningful relationships, fewer communities that anchor our identities and provide genuine support. I used to blame myself for my isolation. It never occurred to me that the problem wasn't entirely me, but the quietly destructive environment we've built. Social media floods us with carefully curated images of success and happiness, silently breeding insecurity and self-doubt. LinkedIn revealed that nearly half of young adults suffer deep anxiety triggered solely by comparing themselves to peers online. Each perfect photo, each polished profile whispers quietly, you're failing, you're the only one who's lost. But behind every filtered image is another hidden struggle, another person privately fighting the exact same battle. We've become trapped inside an endless loop of digital distraction. Research shows the average person touches their smartphone over 2,000 times every day, each tap quietly fragmenting our focus and fracturing our self-worth. Every notification, every scroll, every binge-watch session promises escape, but delivers deeper anxiety. We've traded introspection for distraction, silence for noise, reflection for scrolling. And as we numb ourselves, life quietly slips through our fingers. Dreams remain unrealized, time evaporates, and purpose fades unnoticed. Even more insidious is hustle culture, the relentless message drilled into us from childhood that worth equals productivity and rest equals weakness. We've grown up believing our value depends entirely on endless achievement, grades, internships, prestigious careers. Yet studies reveal nearly 2/3 of workers today feel severely burnt out, trapped by the very successes they were taught would free them. The cruel paradox is that the more we chase society's definition of success, the emptier we often feel. We climb every ladder placed before us, only to realize too late it's leaning against the wrong wall. Philosopher J. Krishnamurti warned us decades ago, it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. Perhaps the anxiety, depression, and existential dread we feel aren't signs of personal failure. They're symptoms of living inside systems quietly designed to keep us perpetually dissatisfied. We've unknowingly become products rather than people, chasing illusions rather than authenticity. I once asked myself a chilling question. Is it possible we've been deliberately trained to remain unhappy? Society needs us distracted, insecure, and constantly chasing more. Because unhappy people consume endlessly, desperately trying to fill an internal void with external solutions. Perhaps feeling lost isn't proof we've failed, but proof our instincts are still alive, silently fighting against a culture that quietly undermines our humanity. Recognizing these invisible forces isn't about surrendering to despair. It's about reclaiming our power to define success on our own terms. It's about refusing to live scripted lives dictated by social media algorithms, productivity standards, and meaningless distractions. Maybe feeling lost is not punishment at all. It's our soul's quiet rebellion, gently urging us to finally wake up and reclaim a life truly our own. For years, I asked the wrong question. I kept desperately seeking answers to how do I stop feeling lost. I searched everywhere, books, therapists, inspirational talks, self-help seminars, hoping someone else could tell me who I was supposed to be. But the answers never lasted. The emptiness always returned, deeper and quieter each time. Finally, I realized I'd misunderstood everything. The real question, the question powerful enough to transform my entire life, was never how do I escape feeling lost. Instead, it was, who am I when no one else is watching? Rediscovering yourself isn't a single dramatic moment. It's quieter, unfolding slowly, often uncomfortably, one courageous step at a time. It begins the moment you dare to sit alone, facing the silence you've always avoided. When you strip away external identities, the job titles, relationships, achievements, and accolades, you confront something terrifying yet liberating, your true self, buried beneath decades of personas and performances. Carl Jung wisely said, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Perhaps this emptiness, the quiet ache of feeling lost, is exactly the space we need to finally see ourselves clearly. Perhaps the life we've built around external validation has always been an illusion, and only now are we ready to embrace a deeper truth, a life genuinely ours. I won't pretend this journey is easy or comfortable. It's deeply unsettling to admit we've chased someone else's definition of success, even more terrifying to realize we've built lives we never consciously chose. But within this discomfort lies incredible opportunity, the chance to redefine our purpose and worth on our own terms, rather than blindly accepting society's shallow definitions. Viktor Frankl famously advised, don't aim at success. The more you aim at it, the more you miss it. For success, like happiness, cannot be pursued. It must ensue as the unintended side effect of dedication to a cause greater than oneself. Perhaps we've had it backwards this entire time, obsessing over external measures of worth, when real fulfillment quietly waits inside ordinary moments of genuine meaning. Start today. Take 10 quiet minutes, no screens, no distractions, and honestly ask yourself, what would I pursue if nobody else was watching? What dreams would I chase if approval and praise didn't matter? Write down your answers clearly and honestly, unfiltered by fear or expectation. This simple, powerful act may gently shift your compass away from external validation toward internal authenticity. Feeling lost isn't a curse, it's an invitation. It's life's quiet way of nudging us toward truths we've long ignored. This journey isn't linear or immediate. It unfolds gradually through curiosity and courage, one brave step at a time. Perhaps the purpose of life isn't flawlessly fulfilling someone else's expectations, but courageously discovering and embracing our own. If these words resonate deeply within you, you're not alone. Imagine how many others quietly suffer in silence, believing they're uniquely broken. Share this message because someone out there desperately needs to hear it. Subscribe and join a community committed to living authentically, reclaiming lives of clarity, purpose, and genuine meaning. Maybe feeling lost isn't tragedy, but transformation. Perhaps by embracing the wilderness within, we finally find our truest selves.